Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome back to Final Fantasy Chronicles of Eno. Shit, I forgot to update the communal guild the last time. Real quick, Hades, what are we at? 31018. Okay. Alright. Sorry, we were doing some last minute shopping because we forgot to do so over the break. Save changes. Okay, so, sorry about that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome back to Final Fantasy Chronicles of Eno. I am your host and game master, Skajarmas, otherwise known as Toneshift. As always, with me today, we have our full host of players for the time being. We have Hades Shadow 92 playing Thanatos, our male human Dark Knight.
Greetings and salutations, you poor bastards.
He is also going to be handling the dice rolls and combat actions of one of our NPC party members, Kyra Nightstar, a female human dragoon. Next up, we have Darkness playing Alistair, our male human paladin.
Darkness.
Say hello.
Who's currently going through... Hello, I'm currently going through a bit of a lag from Discord, so sorry for some delay.
That's fine. And last but certainly not least, we have Tom117Z playing Neothil, our female Elvon Ranger.
Hello. Elf.
And I will be taking care of the other NPC party member who's been around pretty much since the start, Mika Solwyn, female Mithra Red Mage. Now, quick thing before we get into the recap and today's session that I just need to go over real quick. Hades and I are tired. We both got very, very little sleep last night. So this is going to be another one of those more chill, relaxed, mostly just like interaction-focused sessions. Which, you know, probably a good thing given just how hectic the last couple were. So.
Be interested to see how things will be handled this session then, considering where we left off.
Which I know they're to pain.
Well, we'll soon find out, but as it is, where we last left off, our intrepid band of adventurers had arrived in the Academy city of Anima in order to gather information before setting out to acquire one of the few remaining crystals that they need to acquire to keep them safe from Diablos and his minions, one of Shiva's ice crystals. During their time in the Academy City and gathering information on the glacier where the crystal would be found, they learned of a woman named Katona who had fallen ill after her and her company located where the crystal was. And in the middle of the night, her illness manifested in the form of this horrifying amber abomination called Anima that rose up in the heart of the Central University at the behest of Saran Junlil, who had used his incredible powers as an eidolon of Diablos to compel the Darkness and Katona as a Dark Knight to take a piece of amber into herself, to smuggle it into the city. Hold on a second, I dropped something important.
Well done.
And I don't want to break it, it's actually really, really important and expensive, and I can't replace it. There it is. I'm just gonna set that somewhere else for now. Okay.
Was it Mika?
No, it was not Mika. It was the pen for my mechanical drawing tablet. Very, very expensive. I cannot afford to replace it. Anyway. So, once Anima emerged, it began to summon forth true demons, creatures made of amber in the likeness of Diablos himself to lay waste to the city, attacking mages and students indiscriminately, while Saran went to confront the archmages at the top of the highest spire of the Academy City, leaving the party to confront Anima. A bloody battle ensued, at the close of which Anima was defeated and Katona was freed, albeit comatose in the aftermath. However, the party was sadly unable to defeat Anima in time to prevent it from casting the spell Doomsday to its completion, resulting in the near instant deaths of hundreds of people in the Central University building, while many more perished at the hands of the true demons out in the city proper. Following this, the party took some time to collect their thoughts, get their heads together, help the wounded, and everyone else who had been affected in this horrible attack. There were some discussions had, character development occurred, And Neothil began to speculate that Saran might not totally be on Diablos' side at all. And eventually came to the conclusion that her own attempts to sow discord between Diablos and Saran may have inadvertently led to the attack that caused the city of Marasu to sink beneath the waves. It was with that harrowing and deeply unsettling possibility lurking in the back of her mind that Neothil went to regroup with the rest of the party, who had ventured off into the city to buy supplies, restock on things they had lost, and gather up new equipment. And it is there that we shall pick up as Nee walks into this, one of the sort of central courtyard areas, I guess you could say, this open plaza in the heart of the city, where your companions await, decked out in all their new stuff, new gear, replaced weapons and armor, and bags bulging with stuff. And around you can see that it's definitely, in these early morning hours, it is still hectic and chaotic. There is still a lot of movement as people are going around trying to clear out rubble, looking for people who may still be alive but are simply trapped, looking for the missing, tending to the wounded in these makeshift triage centers and buildings that have been cleared out. This nervous tension fills the air as everyone's going about, and you can see from some of the younger students who are moving around just trying to be helpful. They're periodically casting their eyes upwards towards the early morning sky, as if afraid that more of those demons might appear and start raining spellfire on them again. It's a pretty somber atmosphere.
Yes, I believe we do.
There's some bits for me, I see, unless you've decided to switch from angsty purple to sky blue.
Doesn't match my eyes. Here you go.
I'll sort that on a little way. Potions, Phoenix Downs, everything else?
Yep.
I think we're pretty much set. Yeah.
And he kind of turns. Regards speaker for a moment before turning to look at the shattered tower up at the academy. Shield around the city. Do you think they'll be able to repair it anytime soon?
Well, it didn't fail. That's the thing. The demons just bypassed it entirely because they spawned inside.
I will remind the DM at the end of the last session following Ultima, it collapsed.
Oh no, that was a different barrier. The barrier that keeps the cold weather and intruders out wasn't the one that kept the Ultima spell from blowing everyone up. That was an indication that it was a controlled cast. That was containing the blast radius to just that spot. That wasn't the city's barrier.
Yeah, I took that to mean that Ultima caused the power of it, even though it was controlled, caused the city's shield to vaporize.
No. That's not how that went.
Yeah.
I would have made a much bigger hubbub about there suddenly being a blizzard if that's what had happened.
He makes a point.
Yeah.
So just omit that.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, she's still looking up at the tower, hasn't said anything yet.
What were you talking to the archmages about?
Well, the city, the attack. It seems they have things well in hand. We should not tarry. The glacier should be safe for now.
Yeah.
Leviathan's there, and then, given the bloody nose they got, they're not exactly in a position to chase after it right now. If there's one good thing we can say, is that we have an opening where there's going to be nothing horrible waiting for us.
Yeah. We should get a move on then.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's get the crystal and just get moving.
And with that, you all start to make your way back towards the Central University to the airship dry dock. You pick your way through for a while. Once again, you keep passing by students rushing this way and that. It's very much chaos, but no one gets in your way. They seem to just pass around you, recognize the significance you had in keeping them safe. Word has spread quickly. And before long, you're stepping out into the airship dry docks, and it is just silent. There is no one here. You can just faintly hear some wind whistling through the opening that heads outside, and faintly hear the distant echoes of the activity in the city. Without anything else for it, you all climb aboard the Little Wing, get yourselves situated, and before long, the engines thrum into life. The airship pulls out of the dry dock. Those of you who are out on the top deck can feel the cold wind lashing at your faces as the airship turns, pulls away, and I am assuming you are beginning to fly north.
Indeed.
All right. And so you begin to make your way to the north. As you recall, it was stated that this would be a day or so flight. Multiple days to get to this glacier. And so for the whole day, your airship speeds on ahead to the north, with the landmass of the first Enoan continent gradually receding into the southern horizon. The air around you getting steadily colder and colder and colder as you're going, continuing to... And before long, anyone who breathes while also happening to be looking forward has their vision suddenly assaulted by the white clouds of their own breath smacking them in the face. If there are any interactions that anyone wishes to have en route, go for it.
Would it kill Shiva to pay her heating bill?
What's a heating bell?
She's the goddess of ice, Hades. I think cold is how it's meant to be.
I'm sorry. With Lumina was here earlier, I had to throw in a fourth wall break in her honor.
It's fine. All right, so Mika keeps largely to the back end of the ship, watching the landmass recede into the distance for the whole of the trip, while Kyra is keeping herself busy up at the front for the majority of the flight, keeping her eyes peeled for any threats or the land ahead for the glacier. Anything else the rest of you are doing?
Ani's piloting the thing, as usual.
Yep, go figure. So, Thanatos and Alistair, what are you two up to? Anything in particular?
Alistair says he's helping out, but his mic is not currently working.
All right.
Technical difficulties ahoy!
Damn it!
Damn it!
But yeah, so right now, any interactions? Thanatos.
Oh, right.
Do you have any?
Okay, we just lost darkness from the roll 20, so that's not good.
Yeah, I assume he's fixing his mic.
I assume. So, seeing nothing but cold ocean all around,
Just
Kyra at the front, looking vigilant as always. Although he looks back and sees Mika kind of just mulling about there at the back,
kind of sulking.
sulking. As Nee is currently busy, he will go and check on the Mika.
Hello.
Yep, there you are.
There you are.
Okay. We'll get to you
There
in a
we
little
go.
bit,
That's
Darkness.
working.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to you in a little bit, Darkness. We just started a Thanatos thing. So,
Go ahead.
Thanatos, you make your way over to Mika, and she gives you a little nod of acknowledgement as you come up.
Hey. So, how you holding up?
How am I holding up? I'm alive, and I'm still sane. I don't know if there's really a whole lot more I can say than that, though.
Well, that's something at least.
More than a lot of people can say.
Yeah.
I just don't want all of this to stop. Is that too much to ask?
It will stop once we destroy Diablos.
You know, we keep saying we're gonna do that, and sometimes I can't help but wonder if it's even possible for us to pull it off.
Hey, we've destroyed gods and demons before.
We haven't destroyed any gods yet.
Well, maybe not gods. I mean, that Hades guy was kind of a god, or at least in the image of one, at least.
The image of a god doesn't make something a god, Hades. Thanatos, excuse me.
Hey.
And besides that, when we fought Hades, he was incredibly weakened from being trapped in that temple for centuries. He was nowhere near his full power, and he still gave us a run for his money.
We got through it. I say that thing there in the city seemed kind of godlike.
I guess I'm just scared.
We all are.
You know, it's kind of funny. All those stories I used to read when I was younger, these fictional tales about epic heroes going out and saving the world from big evils, and they almost never really talked about this part of it.
He just kind of gives her a little pet on the head. Well, if they had shown this part, would you have actually wanted to read it?
Yeah, psychology's fascinating. You know,
As a kid?
hey, I was a little girl. I loved all that social drama crap. As long as, you know, the longest the important kiss happened and the bad guy lost in the end.
So just imagine our ending. Diablo's slain and destroyed. His power, Phoenix's powers restored and free of the darkness, and then you and your elf can have that nice kiss for a happy ending there, wherever we end up.
The thing is, this isn't one of those storybooks. This isn't fiction. This is real life we're in, Thanatos. We might
Maybe.
not get that happy ending.
Maybe not a fairy tale ending. But if we stick together, then it will be a good ending.
Better than just lying down and giving up, at least.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm sorry.
She turns around to look at you a bit more directly.
Am I being depressing?
Maybe a tiny bit. That's why I'm here, to kind of cheer you up a little bit. She kind of gives her a little scratch behind the ear.
Hey, that's not yours.
No. I mean, it makes you smile, though.
We just had brushes with death a lot lately. guess I'm just worried that we might be running out of luck.
Hey.
A lot of people stuck together back in the academy, and a lot of them didn't make it. Things we're going up against, I don't know.
Hey. Wait. I say we knew things wouldn't be easy. Being the gods chosen, dashing off, destroying fiends, and saving Eno. Hey, no one ever said it'd be easy.
No one ever did. I just wasn't expecting it to be this hard. I won't be making that mistake anymore.
Hey. Now, come on. No matter what comes our way, we know that we have our smart little book kitty to help us through.
Well, just pray you don't lose me then, because what would you all do without me?
Nee would probably lose her shit. And then, well, I mean, much as I like to tease you about it, I'd miss your little book smarts. It's kind of
Yeah.
cute.
Okay, big guy, save it for Kyra.
Kind of flicks you on the nose.
Thanks for holding me back there.
Promised I would.
Yeah. If you and he hadn't stopped me, I don't know what I would have done, but it probably would have ended badly.
I wanted nothing more than to punt him across the city too. But with the archmages there already injured, and who knows what other kind of damage he could have done, especially if he decided to give Ultima a try, it wasn't worth it.
It made my blood boil watching him run away like that. He can't keep getting away with this.
One of these days, his luck's gonna run out too.
It damn well better.
It will. We'll make sure of that. He'll pay for every single life he's taken. Anomo. Hell, even Deviacorp I still feel a little bad about.
And
Those guys
Murasu.
didn't- Yeah. I say you have to make him pay 3 times over for that one.
Oh, I will. Trust me. I will.
Puts his hand on her head again. Now, hey. Evil. Mad, angry talk is my shtick. You're the cute little bookworm. I'm the angsty Dark Knight.
Right.
She kind of brushes your hand off.
Just take this from a guy who knows a lot about it. Don't let this hate for him consume you, okay?
I know. That's why I asked you to hold me back.
And I'll keep doing it.
Thanks.
I was about to say, we need to make sure, because I want to see you and Nee on that altar.
On the altar?
Speaking of, can we see them out there through the carpet?
Yeah, you can see that they're talking through like a window on the side door. So, I got
They're
you right.
seeing them suddenly start like giggling to themselves. Nico looks at them and shouts out, "Thanatos, you're not touching my things, are you?"
I want to say something, but it would be terrible.
Oh, go for it. This is Thanatos.
That's it. No, okay. Well, yes, don't worry, Neo. I'm absolutely not petting your pussy.
Oh! I regret everything!
Why did I have a feeling that was coming?
Mika's going to punch you in the gut.
Oh, right. You know, if my friend Dan was here, he'd high-five you right now. God damn it.
I'm a little shocked for not getting some kind of response from Nee.
Nee was very tempted to shift the ship such that he would go over the railing, but Mika was in the crossfire.
And also, that would be a player character death from that kind of fall, so...
It's one he earned.
Hey, I gave you a warning.
It tells me Nia get her own back eventually.
Probably. And holding his now aching gut. Holding his now aching gut, he's going to smile at the two and then head off for another part of the ship. To avoid being shot or stopped or whatever, or have comments rain down on him.
Sharp shotted into the aether.
Sharp shot into the aether. Let's just fire sharp shot and he just ducks down below deck before it hits.
I wonder if sharp shot is like
disabling shot.
Firing a mass drive round in Mass Effect. It just goes on and on forever till it hits something.
If you fire this weapon, you are ruining someone's day somewhere at some time. This is why we do not eyeball it.
Oh, goodness.
Alright, so Mika watches Thanatos.
Imagining the disabling shot him in the foot.
Alright, so anyways, you walk a little ways away, Thanatos, and but just before you're out of earshot over the wind, you hear Mika calling after you.
Thanks for checking in on me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Glad to have you back on your feet. Oh man, you hit hard. How does a bookworm hit that hard?
Red mage power.
Hold open enough bucks. It adds up in the muscles.
She goes to looking back to the south.
Alice, is there anything you would like to do?
Because of my fuckery, one idea's out the window, so I had to improvise a bit, I guess.
That's all these conversations are, they're improvised.
Oh, yeah, it was entirely improvised.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
We improvise, fuck it.
And I just had the perfect end for it. And how horrible it was.
I'm not petting your pussy.
mention this.
I'm curious if you guys are actually going to
I
keep
think
that for
might
the
show up in some
adaptation.
of the comments.
I'm going to laugh if you guys actually keep that for the adaptation and, like, the ship just slightly jerks. And it's like, what?
We'll see when we get there. Probably not, if only because of the vulgarity of it.
If the scene makes it in, the joke will probably be modified.
Yeah.
Okay,
Change
what about...
quite a bit. I mean, people are gonna comment on it. I know they will.
I know. I'm sorry. My sleep-deprived brain does not...
It's alright.
Alright. Now then, Alistair.
This just reminds me of another day of my server.
Okay.
Mm?
Alright, so, what is Alistair doing on the flight? Does he wish to talk to anyone in particular?
I suppose at this point he'd be finished, like, using the book to communicate to the others and let them know what we're up to at the moment. Just
All
giving
right.
them an update, and now he's just looking around the ship, seeing if there's anything he could do to help around.
All right, so you're just kind of helping pilot the ship. Is that about right?
Yep,
All right.
pretty much. And,
All right. Well, in that case, you
and
make
pretty much
you.
keeping awareness up.
Yep. All right, so you largely make yourself busy doing that. All right, and the day passes without incident as you continue to make your way further and further north. And it isn't long before, as the sun is setting, the landmass of the first Inuan continent disappears in its entirety. You can no longer see the first Inuan continent in the distance. It is completely receded, and it is just open ocean all around in all directions. Now.
We've ever been.
What?
It's the furthest we've ever been.
Yeah. Hades, I need you to roll a d12 for me, please.
Fuck. Ten.
All right. So then, we get to cut over to knee on this one.
All right.
I'm assuming, as per usual, you pass the wheel to Thanatos for the night when it's your time to go to get some sleep.
That is the typical thing, yes.
All right. Then you go and you lay down to get some rest, and that night, as you're sleeping, you begin to sort of blink, and suddenly you realize you're back in that amber-starred void.
What's mother dearest?
A few seconds
Why was-
pass before
I was rolling a D10.
to see if the dream actually went through.
You're
Because given
welcome.
given distance right now, Panara is having a hard time reaching out because of how far away you are. At any rate, so after a little while, you see up ahead this little flurry of orange stars, and Panara walks into view. Looks around for a second. Then her eyes eventually focus in on you, Nee. She blinks in. There you are.
Unexpected pleasure? I wasn't expecting a communication from you.
Well, I sensed something stirring in the darkness last night, and I just figured I'd check in on you, since it was in your area.
Right.
What happened?
Well, such as anything else that follows us. Anima was attacked while we were staying there.
I've never been there. I don't really know the layout of the place. What happened?
Usually it's all but impenetrable between further down the mountain as shield. But one of the adventurers that found the glacier for us was, well, foolishly she decided to take back a piece of amber with her. It infected her, infested her, and essentially she became a conduit for a portal Saran opened and allowed demons in mass. Big one, Anima. Well, it wasn't good. The
It
city
didn't
still stands, just Saran ignored us and tried to go for the Archmages, though they ended up cutting him out with an Ultima.
I've only heard legends of that spell. Never seen it in action.
Well, we have now. It was... Funny thing is that Saran survived it.
You're kidding.
More than that, he claims that he can use it himself. Which is why in the end we had to let him go, despite how damn close he was to... We could have taken him had we gone after him, but in the process he might have just decided to nuke the city. There are already hundreds dead. More than that, he also had bold claims that if we were to capture him or slay him, that we'd be dooming ourselves in the process.
What?
Something more going on with him. I expressed my concerns to the Archmages and they agree, but... Well, she's gonna just recount everything she told the Archmages, for brevity.
Penara listens as you go over the events in the city and what Saran told you, sort of idly stroking her chin. Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, between his game, his bold claims going against Diabolos, all of it. And I always figured he had his own plans in mind, but he goes against Diabolos more and more as time goes on. And the leash gets tightened more and more as time goes on.
Hence this attack.
And Marasu. I haven't told her yet. Mika, I mean.
What do you mean?
Well, I assume... Out of character, I assume Ni mentioned it, because she recapped everything she told the Archmages, including Marasu.
Well, yeah, but like, hasn't he expressly stated that she thinks Marasu is her fault at this point?
Well, again, I just said that
Right.
Ni recapped everything she said to the
Right,
Archmages.
right.
I didn't
Okay,
want
fair
to
enough.
say it all again.
Fair enough.
Repeat the conversation.
Right. Penara sighs and walks forward and puts a hand on your shoulder. Nee, I do not want you to blame yourself for that.
Well, whatever his intent, whether he's just some fool that strives for godhood or there's some sort of malevolent protector or fancies himself as such, he's still done far more than be justified. And yet, I was the one who pushed that, thinking I was clever.
You had no way of knowing. It wasn't your fault. You are not the one who sunk that island. You're not the one who destroyed one of Leviathan's eidolons or one of her crystals. You fought to save it. You fought to save a lot of people, and you succeeded in that. You did more than just about anyone could have expected of you.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you. You know that, right?
It's just... the way Mika is right now, I feel terrible keeping it from her, but if I...
I do agree that that is a conversation that should probably wait until the waters have calmed a bit. But I know you, and I know Mika at least a little bit. She's a kind one, and very gentle.
I'm very, very hurt. And we know. I think we both know what people can do when they're very, very hurt. And how kind they are.
Help her heal. At this point, that's really all you can do for her, is just be there for her and help her heal.
To my damnedest.
I know you are. You always have. Even back when you were Aurelia. Always doing so much more than we ever thought you could.
Well, you know me, I like to break records.
Panara reaches out and pulls you into a gentle hug. You're doing very good things, Neothil. Don't doubt that for even a moment. All right?
Thanks, Mother.
I saw how you felt when you fought Gabrand, and how you felt all after that with Emma. Don't fall into that again. All right?
Well, if I did, it would hurt more. I can't do
would.
that.
And I doubt any of us would ever let you live it down.
I mean, you know we're never going to stop about the fact that Skalala got captured, so no, it's not really in the ethereal nature to let us forget.
Well, I'm glad to be counted as part of that now.
Well, you are one half of the reason I exist at all.
Indeed. Then you hear a voice from behind you.
Hey, don't forget about me.
Well, you're going to be getting a whole life of your own soon enough when we kick Diablos in his demonic sharp teeth.
Yeah, Emma is standing there behind you with her arms kind of crossed in this look between stern and amused on her face, and she just kind of nods.
Damn straight.
You've been awfully quiet throughout all of this heart-wrenching soul-searching. I was kind of surprised I didn't get a slap on the back of the figurative head.
You've been busy, and I didn't want to start an argument with you. We know what the risks are with that. I was waiting for you to get your head together before I said anything. Besides, you needed to concentrate. The fight with that big-ass demon there? Not something I wanted to interfere with, unless I needed to. Unwelcome distractions.
Well,
Much as I may hate it, this is your life you're living at this point.
yeah. What was your face? I wonder what you'll look like when all is said and done.
Probably look more like Skalala Arania than you.
Well, who knows? Yours isn't exactly a new soul, it might influence things.
Maybe.
Though that would absolutely be creepy if there was a small me running around, so to speak.
And hey, maybe you just had a really late twin.
Well, we are, but all respects, the strangest twins to ever walk upon the face of the Eno continent.
Hey, your soul was around first for like 6 years.
And that is why you're the late twin, because you're the younger one.
Panara's right, though. Don't beat yourself up. I'll absolutely start getting on your case if you do.
That thread almost makes me want to call you the evil twin, but I am the one who stole your body, so I think I qualify more. But yes.
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job redeeming yourself for that. Same with you, Panara. I haven't forgiven you just yet, but you're on that rock. Just remember.
And Emma walks directly up to your side and sort of stands next to you while facing the opposite direction.
There's 2 of us in here. So you keep your head clear. If you go down, so do I. Remember that, okay?
She just nods.
Now get cracking. We still got a world to save.
And she takes a step past you and sort of vanishes.
On that note, we've moved beyond the borders of the unknown continent. Hopefully, we're going to be coming across Shiva's glacier any time now.
I had noticed that you were further than I've ever felt you before. Well, not counting when I was still in Zalart.
Well, we're a quarter way over to the next continent, so... Seas aren't so volatile up this way. Very cold.
Well, just be careful.
Yeah, I suppose I better take Thanatos off the wheel before he decides the best way to get the crystals to smash the ship into the temple, which must be entrance.
I'll let you get back to rest. Take care of yourself.
You too.
And you go back to regular sleep. The rest of that night passes without incident. Before long, everyone's waking up the next day and going about their business and work, getting things en route to keep moving northward. The following day is also uneventful as you continue to fly further and further north. Now, let me see here. I need to change the weather type. Alright. And as you are flying forward, it is starting to get freezing the farther you go, to the point that the windows in front of you are starting to fog over and fog up, to the point you can barely see through it, and you're constantly having to, like, wipe it down. And there's this heavy mist that is starting to roll in the further north you travel that's obscuring your vision, creating this very ominous atmosphere as the wind starts to get this more hollow, sort of ghostly sounding tune as it's flowing over the sides and top of the airship. Instead of the typical gusty noise, it's almost like a low, mournful whistle that echoes and reverberates around the edges of the hull of the ship. Periodically, you can see little flakes of snow or some other substance drifting by, but it's gone too quickly for you to really get a gauge on it. It's all very, very, very cold. I need everyone who's on the lookout for land masses to make for me a awareness check.
Oh, yeah, I lost. Indeed.
12.
Alright. Give me just a second here. I'm doing some measurements on the side while we're waiting.
Wait, who's that?
I mean, you guys did send Elizabeth's party to scout out the Hellfire Pit, didn't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess we did. Alright, how about that?
Yeah.
Alistair is also rolling a 12.
And Amiga.
Give me a second. All right. Mika's awareness. Or stupidly high awareness.
You say stupidly high, it uses 7.
Anyway, so. Alright, so we got ourselves a 15, a 12, a 12, a 14. Did Kyra roll?
Oh, she did not. I almost forgot. Hers is also 5.
Alright, Kyra gets it.
The ever-vigilant dragoon.
Alright, so.
He's basically hanging off the front like a monkey.
Alright, so. As the Little Wing is continuing to plow further and further north, it's getting on towards a middle of the afternoon, let's say like 4 or 5 or so p.m. And you're all kind of trying to keep a lookout for any sign of the glacier. You're keeping a due directly north search as you were instructed. But through the mist and the haze, most of you are having a very, very hard time seeing anything. The only other person who actually got this would be Nee. Until Kyra comes along.
Yay, Kyra!
So, as you're flying along near the front of the ship, Nee, you sort of peer out through the wheelhouse and you see Kyra sort of turn and start waving frantically at you and pointing down.
Yeah, I see it too. Just about the glacier, I presume.
Yeah. Looking down, though it's hard to make out specifics through the fog and the mist and the haze, you can see this break in the shape, in the sort of constant white fog beneath you, just the faintest hint of a silhouette against the backdrop. Large in scale, and you presume perhaps this is the glacier. We're gonna bring the Little Wing down.
Yes.
All right, so you pull a few levers, you make a few checks, and you start to gently glide the Little Wing down towards the glacier. It is only as you're coming down that you realize just how thick this mist was, as by the time you actually start to see finer details, the Little Wing is almost right on top of it. And it's flying directly towards a cluster of trees. I need you to make a vehicle check.
Son of a bitch. That's a good thing. This is something I've been adding into every level up I've had. Speaking of, were we meant to level up after? No, it's after this next crystal we level up, isn't it?
Yes, crystals mark the level ups.
Fuck it.
Oof. Okay, yeah, no, that isn't good this time. You're still a little groggy after spending all that time up in Anomo after the fight with Anima. Even after that night's rest, your mind is still sort of playing catch up. And so by the time you realize that those trees are incoming, that you're about to fly right into them, you're like, shit! You're a bit late, though. And even as you're pulling the Little Wing up and everyone else is sort of flailing back onto the deck and sliding and rolling along from the sudden upward curve, the bottom of the Little Wing still scrapes across the tops of those trees and suffers 300 points of damage.
Ow. 1,000.
Yeah, so the Little Wing is now at 700 hit points as you all hear this pealing, shrill shriek of metal being shorn and the deafening snaps and pops and loud bangs of trees snapping, echoing around you, the creak of wood beneath, in this cacophonous roar that also causes the hull of the ship to creak and groan and tremble and shake. You all hold on for dear life to keep yourselves situated from the force of it all. But after a few more seconds, the little wing pulls past. There's one last sort of snapping sound as if you're breaking free from chains. And anyone on the top deck who glances back will see that the trees you had just sort of brushed by have all been thoroughly snapped in half, with their jagged, peeled remains sort of poking up towards the sky in a very lopsided ways, like a collection of spears that were just stuck into the ground at the same spot at odd angles and then left to erode in the wind for centuries.
Fuck you, dice.
And very quickly disappears into the mist behind you. On the top deck, Kyra shouts,
Well, I think we found it!
Who knew? Trees on the glacier.
Graceful landing, Nee.
No one said there'd be trees growing impossibly out of the ice.
I thought you liked trees.
They don't grow in ice.
You're still flying, by the way. You haven't landed yet.
Oh.
You were just getting closer and then obstacle. You're still in the air.
Alright, we're looking for a giant pyramid structure. That can't be hard to find.
In this fog, it might be.
That's Mika's talking.
Well, let's retrace the steps of the previous party that Katona was part of. Bring it in close. Pilot the ship further in London.
Alright.
Awareness, I guess.
Alright, go ahead and make an awareness check to keep a lookout, and make another vehicle check for me, please, to fly safe.
Good.
Alright.
Well, it's
Better.
mildly better.
Alright.
Mildly.
Like you're aware that shit's kind of fucked right now, so the DC was lower. Also because you're not flying directly at an immediate obstacle, so you slow the little wing down a little bit so it's moving along at a more gradual coasting speed. And you keep your eyes over the edge of the ship whenever you can from the wheelhouse, looking for any signs of where the previous party had landed, or rather crashed, as you surmise. So looking for signs of airship wreckage. You keep your eyes over, peering through the mist, and anyone who rolled a 13 or higher starts to see the occasional little bit of debris and shrapnel that's now been partially consumed by the falling snow. Little skeletal remains of airship hulls, or the remains of propellers embedded into ice sides, downed trees, and unnatural divots and trenches left in the snow where ships crashed and dug through the ground as they passed, with their remaining momentum bleeding off from the soil.
Well, we're on the right track. I see debris from the airships the island's previous invaders shot down.
So you're up. After a few minutes, Mika is going to make a roll about something real quick.
About something.
Alright. So, as you're all flying ahead, Mika suddenly seems to perk up and get this bright idea.
Wait, I have an idea.
She quickly moves into the center of the ship's deck, reaching into her pack, and she pulls out Leviathan's crystal. She looks at it for a second and then holds it up and is going to make a finesse check to see if she can use it in some way.
You trying
Kinda
to
like
locate Leviathan itself.
We're gonna give her a little, hey, we're here signal.
12. So, a few seconds pass and there's this little pulse of light from the crystal before all around you there's this the sudden outward pulse of dark, deep blue light that radiates outwards and pushes the mist along with it for a good ways, allowing you to clearly see the ground directly beneath the airship. And Mika sort of grins as she does that and looks back over to the rest of you.
Mist is just water. Just a different type. Easy enough to push out of the way.
Looks
It
like
helps when your patient deity is swimming around here somewhere.
Speaking of which,
Oh.
it's as you're sort of slowly coasting along that up ahead, the ice suddenly it splits and cracks open upwards, chunks of ice flying out to the sides, and a familiar, colossal-sized sea serpent rises up amid a swirling torrent of water and general majestic form, as Leviathan rises up to sort of linger directly in front of the ship. Let me grab a different one. There we go. Once Leviathan is situated, she looks directly towards the airship, which I am assuming you're pulling to a stop.
I wasn't actually planning ramming speed. Today is not a good day to die.
ram the deity.
Alright. So, Leviathan looks at the little wing for a second, and for a brief moment, anyone who's looking in her direction will realize that she briefly makes eye contact with each of you individually. Her eyes lingering on Mika for a second, before she turns and nods her head off to one side, and as she does, you can see that the mist is starting to just dissipate in general. As it does, the rest of the glacier is starting to come into view, and it's almost more accurate to call it a miniature island. Like, this is not a small thing. It is a pretty chunky landmass in terms of scale. As the mists part, you can see these iceberg ridges and sheer cliffs scattered throughout, along with these open, flat plains scattered all over the place, all covered in a thick layer of pristine, nearly undisturbed snow, save for the occasional pockmarks of wreckage and debris from crashed airships. You can see trees rising up from the snow in places, surprising to you, but maybe there's just a layer of dirt on top of the ice. It's hard to tell.
Or maybe it's just weird god magic, don't question it.
Maybe that too. Either way, as the mist clears the rest of the way up ahead in the very heart of this towering landmass, or this wide one rather, you see a tall, multi-layered, vaguely pyramid-like shape, looking like it was chiseled directly out of the ice rather than built up. Like I said, it comes in steps, kind of like a Mayan or Incan or Aztec pyramid. I don't really know which one's which.
Close enough.
Yeah, you get the idea of what I'm going for. But again, all chiseled out of the ice and faintly radiating this dim but persistent blue light. And at the top of it, there is this brighter blue glow that almost looks like a lighthouse, faintly emitting these blue, whitish particles that fall down over the rest of the island like snow. Leviathan glances at the rest of you and then nods down to a clear patch a ways down.
He's going to move a little bit in that direction.
Yes, do as the giant sea lizard says.
Alright. You bring the little wing down. It's a little rickety and you can hear the engine sputtering a little bit from the damage they took earlier, but before long you're able to safely bring her down and make a safe, albeit rocky landing in the middle of that particular clearing. Once you land, Leviathan lowers her head down to look directly down onto the deck. It is good to see all of you again. How do you fare?
We've been better, but most of the crystals are in our possession. It's just a second of ice, fire, and wind.
You've done very well to make it this far.
Mika then steps forward, looking up.
Have you made any progress on figuring out what we're supposed to do after we have them?
Leviathan hesitates and then slowly shakes her head.
At present, not yet. We don't have an opening to strike at Diabolos himself, and so for the moment, Bahamut is advising defense, keeping our guard up, keeping the crystals on the move, watching and waiting. If we, according to him, if we strike recklessly, we stand to lose everything.
Speaking of Bahamut, the Hellfire Pit is, relatively speaking, a simple matter to climb. How are we to approach the Tower of Creation?
Odin can help you with that.
Yes, let us hope that Rocket found him.
You can see Leviathan's lips twitch upward slightly into a smile.
Rest assured, she has. They have made good progress together, last I checked.
Really? How much do you know? Have they found any of the feathers?
Numerous, though the last time I checked in on them was weeks ago. They haven't been near a body of water for a while, trekking across the deserts as they have.
That must be a sight. Oh, a god on horseback and a cybernetic chocobo. There's your new children's story.
And the horse emits electricity. And has a horn like a sword.
Of course it does.
Ixion is a strange one, but I think you will like him.
Get this crystal and we can find out. We heard of the wolf Fenrir that got his place. What of Shiva? Is she still present?
She remains with her crystal at present. I doubt not but that Fenrir will be along shortly. I sensed you blundering about in the mists I created to shelter this place from invaders, and figured you might need a hand finding a good place to land. Fenrir will escort you the rest of the way. I will maintain my vigil until your work here is done.
Are we to expect more trials? Sample?
After all that has happened, I doubt it. Not at this one, at least. Ifrit will undoubtedly be a difficult one to persuade. And Bahamut has ever been a stubborn adherent to tradition.
Noted. We'll take the break where we can get it. On a trying day.
We felt the surge in the darkness to the south. I don't doubt your words. Fenrir approaches. I wish you luck.
And with that, Leviathan withdraws into the hole in the ice she made and disappears from view. A few minutes pass. If anyone wants to have any discussions while you wait. And if I can get this damn playlist to work.
You know, I just imagine Rocket riding a horse. Is that a little redundant?
Rocket riding a horse with Odin riding Rocket.
What the hell kind of stack would that be?
Kara's asking.
An amusing one, and yet very Rocket.
Very Rocket.
I get the impression what Leviathan meant is Odin's riding the horse and Rocket's running next to them.
I imagine. Yeah.
It's Rocket. It could happen.
But who knows what will happen if in that inevitable children adaptation? Glances at Alistair and Mika.
Alistair, why are you still muted?
Is he even there? And his mic's doing it again. Goddamn.
His mic was just straight up muted. Darkness. My man.
Does
My boy.
Does his mic work at all?
Boy.
Hello.
There you are. Have you
There
been
we go.
have you been trying
Sorry.
have you been trying to talk
I
this
was
whole
meant
time?
to be unmuted, but we keep repeating it. Yes, but it wouldn't unmute. It was,
Weird.
and I tried to hang up, and I was stuck in froze motion.
Jesus.
So I just had to shut down all of Discord.
That's weird, man.
Fuck's sake.
Anyway, before your microwave implodes again, the recap did just say about how that inevitable children's book of Odin, Ixion, and Rocket traipsing through a desert needs to happen, and was glancing at Alistair and Mika for "you must do this."
When this is all over, I will work on it, and Mika will probably be happy to help.
Yeah, probably. I'll fact check ya.
It's a children's book. I'm sure the facts can be stretched a little for creative imaginings.
I mean, sure, but I also don't want there to be any, you know.
Basically make it too facty.
And also, I just want to
God.
make sure you don't use 8,000 words where 8 would suffice.
Now she has you there. You
In a way she does.
You might. You would turn a simple dialogue box saying "queer" to the bird. Oh, the bird said "queer." Let's just say, for that is the sound that all chocobos make. Outside that again, as they might be, would you know? And then
Like Kyra shrugs her shoulders.
Yeah, and didn't you also take a simple letter to your parents saying, "Hi, I'm doing good," and make it into a 5-page epic?
Well, I don't get the chance to write a letter every time, and keeping up to date is hard.
well,
Especially
we
when
all
you're not trying not to die 24/7.
well, we all appreciate the work you're putting in on the Chronicles of Eno there, but Mika, can you fact check that as well?
I will fact check, I will proofread, I will beta read, and
Well, to
I
be
will
honest,
edit.
Indeed.
And I will make sure he never uses the word meese.
Keep the phrase, let's just say, to at least only once every other chapter.
Indeed.
For once, it's not me being picked on.
Hey, he said his mic off. Me catching up. I think you're still writing that little account of
But I
ours.
could let you. Pretty much. Which, out of all the years I've written in books, this is the longest I have ever written.
You've
At
written
this
other
rate,
books?
my hand's gonna get crippled.
Wait. You've written other
A
books?
few. Now and then, yes, although nothing to really scoff at. To be honest.
Did you ever publish any of them?
Except for one, but then again, Not exactly, no. There was one, but that one requires a lot of editing for too much detail. That's when
So
I
you
tried
haven't
to make it
Published any of them
longer than a
yet?
couple pages.
Is there a
Nah,
slight
not
glint in
yet.
Mika's eye we
I've been
could
busy
see
on
of? Oh,
Yes,
I
absolutely a
apologize.
glint in Mika's eye.
Alistair, you have unleashed
Another
the
sec.
beast.
Have I? And then he just notices Mika's face. And there's this little bit of a worried look. Oh.
One of these days, you're gonna show those to me. And then I'm gonna polish them up,
You know what?
and then I'm gonna get printed copies, and then I'm gonna keep them in the library I plan on having when I retire.
Just one library?
Oh.
I don't think I have the patience to manage more
go
than
on,
that.
I mean, thanks.
Wherever we end up, I'm sure it will have at least 2 library rooms.
Hmm.
I mean, I plan on just
shouldn't
straight
be
up
doing
running
any
my own
other
library.
stuff around that time.
And of course, you'd have your own library,
Whoa.
but would you let us have a house that doesn't have its own library room?
It's called a study, and no, I would not.
I'm imagining a mansion and it's all one great big library.
As enticing as that is, there are other needed things in a home, like a bed and food.
And the
Well-
cookie jar, still my mum's.
Hmm.
Cookie jar.
You know what, Mika? I'd take you up on that offer once all saving the world is over with. Plus, I shouldn't be doing too much paladin stuff by then. Because that's one of the things that's been holding me back, to be honest. Trying to be the best paladin as I can be.
Well, you can publish your books later. For now, let's focus on getting you a second crystal so you can turn into a giant ice lady.
Not the sort of words I would
That's
use,
not
but
quite how
okay.
that works.
But I don't want to turn. I don't think that's how it works. I don't want my
It's
spawn
more or
being
less
changed.
how that works. I've already seen Thanatos become beardy.
I accept
It's
myself
not-
as
it's
I
not
am,
that he-
thanks.
It's not that he turns into Beardy, it's that he summons Beardy and uses his own physical body as a
Yeah.
conduit for it. But anyways,
Exactly, and that physical body first becomes them, even though and they're in control, but their body physically becomes them.
kind of,
So
it's
Alex-
weird.
Just to point out, even me changing into something like that is a possibility. I'm okay as I am, flaws and all, thanks.
Speak for yourself. I'll get to turn into a dragon.
There's a
Oh, lucky
couple
you.
there's a second that passes before you hear a gruff voice from off the side of the airship. Well, that's awfully presumptuous of you.
And you would be Fenrir, I presume.
You look over the edge, all of you, and you look down and you see this enormous, sort of vaguely blue-furred wolf standing there in the snow, easily large enough to carry all of you on its back, looking up at you with this unreadable look. You would be correct. I am Fenrir. We've been awaiting your arrival for some time.
I apologize for the delay between
But-
recuperating from Scotland, the journey here, and the attack on the Noma. It has been an arduous trip.
You are here for Shiva's ice crystal, then, I take it.
We are.
Then follow me.
Yep.
On a normal day, there would be significant trials for you to overcome. But, his eyes sort of dart between you lot, you carry 7 of 10 crystals already. Or the approximate value of that, at least. His eyes linger on Mika for a second. You've proven your worth many times over already. And Tamamo Hime spoke of you in glowing terms, especially after she observed your battle with Scottenmel. I have no reason to delay you. Come. And he turns without any further preamble and starts to walk off into the snow.
Following.
Alright. So you all quickly gather up what things you need and follow after the big wolf. And he's moving at what to him looks like a leisurely pace, but given how large he is, you're having to kind of move at a very brisk walk just to keep up. He pauses only briefly to let you all catch up once you hop off the airship, and then you're on your way. He leads you across open plains for a time, eventually squeezing through this sort of a narrow trench between two large sort of glacial blocks and cliff faces, before eventually coming out into this wider clearing where off on your left you can see the broken down, twisted remains of an airship that's crashed there in the abandoned remains of what looked to be sort of a makeshift campsite and triage center with a few left behind bedrolls and a few empty bags and points of supplies. The airship itself looks to have been blasted in the very center of its top deck by something slamming onto it from above, leaving this big hole going down multiple decks. And looking off to the side, to the right, you can see numerous little mounds with wooden sticks and other whatnot sort of stuck on top, marking what you presume to be graves of people who died in the crash. Fenrir briefly pauses and nods over at the wreckage. Those who came before you arrived on this ship. They fought well, and cleared this island of its intruder before I could even find it.
I know of the previous scouting group. Katona, one of them, was the conduit from which the demons invaded Anima.
He turns to you with a sharp look. What?
The
Seems
Amber
she-
latched on to a darkness that was inside her, and they used that to get through the barrier.
She took a shard from the fallen behemoth.
As far as we are aware, she was compelled to do it.
I should have paid more attention. I knew I smelled that stench on her, but I assumed it was simply that dark side. I didn't realize she had taken one of those stones.
The invasion of Nemo was staved off, but a lot of damage was caused. A creature emerged from her Anima, along with Saran himself.
Did she survive?
Katona?
did.
Yes.
She'll live,
Good.
but there was quite a lot of damage.
He looks at the wreckage of the airship. As matters stand, this wreckage was abandoned fairly quickly. There may yet be supplies within if you wish to search for any.
Scavenge checks.
Alright.
Using the word.
If anyone wants to make scavenge checks to scour through the remains of the airship, you may do so.
9.
9! Ice!
Come on. Apparently, don't want us. The dice don't want us to scavenge today. 8, 9, 10.
Sarah's a bit hesitant, but he's gonna give it a shot.
Get 11.
Yeah, Mika will try to.
Get 11. One of you get 11.
Let's quickly
Damn.
check my seat because it's been a long time since I did scavenge. Let's have a look. I know it wasn't a lot, but 2. Yeah, he's not much of the scavenger, but let's try it.
Hey, at this point, it was probably.
And loading. You watch, he's gonna be the lowest.
8. Well, you're right there with
next
Thanatos.
to Thanatos.
Yep.
Alright,
So,
well.
yeah.
So I wasn't completely incorrect.
Alright, so, in total, you find, across all of that, you find 2 high potions.
Neat.
You find
Oh, nice.
you find a single high ether,
Nice.
and Neothil.
Promising.
And Neothil finds in a smaller room, sort of, that looks like at one point it was well reinforced and was picked clean, you find a single phoenix down in a box, but it looks different from the ones you usually find. Whereas Phoenix Downs you usually get are more of like a fiery orange color. This one's more gold in coloration. You have found a Phoenix Pinion.
Oh, +1. And this version.
And what is a Phoenix Pinion?
We come up, but we get healed 50%.
Phoenix Downs give you back with 1 HP. Phoenix Pinions give you 100% HP.
Damn.
Yep.
Whoa. So there's a literal reset button in a bottle.
Pretty much, at least in terms of HP.
I like it.
Doesn't do anything for MP, but yeah. So, it takes you a while to conduct this
Never
search.
does my ultimate.
It takes you a while to conduct this search, as it's not exactly a small airship. Like, it's not a gargantuan, like, pleasure yacht or anything, but it was definitely a sizable troop transport. And sort of looking it over, you see that it was very definitely of Lynn Solemn design. Very industrial and efficient and kind of blocky and rigid with its designs and pipes going all over the place. You can see that there were numerous layers where there were spaces for the hired adventurers who were on this trip to sort of get comfortable when they weren't on immediate assignment or duty. This sort of large sort of lounge area, sort of sequestered in the middle of things, where there were once tables and chairs set up that were all pulverized when something crashed through the top deck. You can see that there are signs of the bodies that had been in here before they were pulled out to be buried, with stains of blood here and there, or little remnants of broken armor and clothes scattered here and there throughout the wreckage. Icicles have begun to form all throughout the interior of the ship, noticeably where these big holes are left in the gaping hull, be it from the crash or the initial impact that sent it tumbling in the first place. And a thick layer of crunchy frost and ice has formed over everything within. The wind howls through it, and it's a very haunting thing to look at. Feels a bit colder than it should, even in this frozen environment.
All I was going to say is you can see Adesire is looking at all the ones who are unable to make it and had a moment of silence for them.
All right. You take a moment to just have that moment of silence while things are sorted out. Before long, you're stepping back outside to rejoin everyone else. It took you maybe 30 minutes to conduct that search, so the sun is starting to make its way for the horizon at this point. And Fenrir nods as you emerge. You have everything you need?
We do.
Then let us be on our way. And he turns and leads you away from the wreckage and further inland of the glacier. You sort of hug the side of the pyramid for a time before eventually he turns off to the right and into this natural cave formation, or you would assume natural given how it looks, but entering into the first room, you see up ahead this altar placed in front of what you would assume would normally be a towering wall of ice that has since melted away, with the altar dark. Fenrir leads you through this cavern, this winding tunnel, hooking a right and moving steadily up and up and up into another room with another altar and more pedestals arranged with these abstract designs of icy eyes peering around, all of which have already seemingly been dealt with. There's this caved-in section off to the right as you're passing where you see the partially decomposed and now frozen mummified remains of a pair of legs sticking out from under the caved-in rubble. Fenrir sort of glances at the body as you're passing. A poor sod who got the solution to this test wrong on his way through. He summoned the Guardians in so doing. His attempts to flee were less than successful, as the behemoth had weakened the integrity of the pyramid in its wake. The cave-in marks that man's grave.
Was the test that...
He
Yeah.
nods down at the altar and then to the pillars. What you seek here is Shiva's crystal of light, and as such, the tests revolve around the subject of banishing darkness from this place. See the pillars and the eyes etched into them. Those eyes cast the glow of light to wherever they reach, and can pass that glow from one to the next. He then nods at the altar, and you see that there's this sort of spike rising up from the center of it. The light would emit from this altar, and the intent would be to have it reach each eye, growing stronger as it passed through, before finally being directed. He nods at where the way ahead has already been opened, at the wall barring one's path. The light would shine bright enough to banish the dark and restore order, and the chaotic barrier barring their path would be dispelled.
What did he do wrong?
Remember the first room with the previous altar? It was a similar puzzle, but much simpler in its execution, as there were only two eyes he had to deal with. Shine the light on one eye, that eye shines onto the other, and then that eye shines into the wall. Here it was different. There were 4 such eyes, and scattered around in such a way that one would need to be creative to get the light to pass through all of them. He missed that. Shined the light through only 2, figuring it would be enough. It wasn't.
There have been many wayward adventurers attempting to gain access to the crystal.
No. The ones who arrived on those airships were the first mortals to set foot on this glacier in centuries.
So, remind me, did those modified legs look to be part of that expedition, or was it something far older?
It was someone part of the expedition who got here before the main party and just kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Not even sure why they came in here. They were only meant to scout.
They didn't have much of a choice once things got bad. Once they crashed, he probably thought to take shelter. And then once he found the altars and the pillars, perhaps he got ideas of grandeur for himself. We'll never know. Now come, we still have a ways to climb. And he passes through the chamber. And he leads you up onto this large ledge. Once again in the outside, where the faint whistling wind of the cold northern air sort of blows by, sending a few little flurries of snow drifting by. Off to your left, you can see this wide, sprawling view of the glacier for quite a ways in all directions, and it's definitely not a small place. I would honestly liken it to like how big Solstheim is in Skyrim. Like if you were to take that and that would that's its literal scale there, not like it's in-universe scale, but the literal scale you traverse in the game. That's about how big this glacier is. So, maybe like a mile or 2 across. It's not tiny. Anyways, so. And as you're looking around, you can see these little spikes and slabs, and you can even see this sort of mound of mulch and bone just kind of off to one side. And Fenrir nods at that. That is where the behemoth fell. This is where your predecessors had their final fight on this island.
Didn't realize they made it this far to the temple.
You are cutting out something fierce.
Am I? Can you hear me?
No.
There you are.
There we go. Come on, Discord. Hang in there.
You were saying?
He says that she's surprised they made it this far into the temple. She thought that they fought the behemoth outside.
Well, I mean, this is an exterior space. Just, it's on the side of the temple.
We had to go through several trials rooms to get here, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
Definitely
to
the
get
most
here,
fearsome battle.
they would have had to go through the trial rooms.
Yeah. Fenrir nods. Indeed. As far as I can tell, their intention was to get rid of the behemoth. It shot down all of their airships. They wanted to get off the island, and they wanted to make sure that you would have minimal issues on arrival. They were oblivious to my presence, so they took it upon themselves to rid the glacier of the behemoth. And they succeeded.
Did they have to go through the trials themselves, or did the behemoth clear the way, so to speak?
They only had to get through the second of the ones I showed you. The previous one had been taken care of by the man whose legs we saw. As for the behemoth, it didn't bother with such things. I don't know when it first arrived on the glacier, but it took up residence on this ledge, I presume, by just climbing the side of the pyramid to it, and then started to destroy the airships as they arrived. Let's keep moving. And he steps forward. You follow him up a ramp of sorts and into another interior space. He leads you through several more chambers with seemingly a variety of other puzzles, but in this particular case, as you're walking, he just glances over at them and they just shimmer and the ways open for him as he's leading you all through. He wasn't kidding that you're just skipping the preamble this time. He leads you through for quite a while, and you are fascinated by some of the things you see. In some places, as you're going through these winding corridors, you can see these etchings into the ice, like prehistoric cave paintings depicting different scenes or scenarios. And you recognize as you're looking at them that some of these are rooted around what Shiva did way back when, before the gods started to fight amongst themselves and before Diablos turned on everyone else. You could see her sort of freezing out this glacier itself in one depiction. You can see her raising Fenrir from a pup in another. You can see these great snowstorms egged on by Ramu and Leviathan with Shiva at the center and numerous other interesting scenes. Before eventually you see these depictions of Diablos writhing in rage and malice and the devastation wrought in that conflict before one of the final depictions you see as you're climbing up this ascent towards a narrow exit out into the exterior once again. This image of Shiva and Fenrir just sitting alone in the middle of a blizzard. All very simple in style, but powerful imagery nonetheless.
Creation of the glacier?
Precisely.
She's been alone here the entire time?
For the most part. The gods cannot be everywhere at once. Hence the crystals, and hence Shiva's decision to patrol the north on this floating isle. Save for what little wildlife exists here, I and Tamamohime have been her only company. And even then, Tama only in rare fleeting moments.
Does she ever get lonely?
She is a kind and gentle sort, but Shiva's always been an introvert. She's comfortable with minimal company.
Oh.
And Kara just kind of folds her hands behind her back.
I don't know if I could manage. I'd go crazy if I were all alone. No offense.
None taken.
I mean, I usually prefer traveling alone, but I will admit it does get lonely.
You've been traveling with these goons for how long now?
Well, longer than anyone else. Except to include my teacher, of course.
Is it alone when your only company is technically yourself?
Fenrir glances back at you with a corked brow. That's an interesting question.
And more literal when you could is.
He leads you up a little ways further, up this long-seeming staircase through this tunnel, at the end of which you can see the gap that leads back out into the exterior space, and you can hear the wind howling through it. By the time you emerge, you've been wandering through this palace following Fenrir's lead for the better part of an hour. It's not a small place, and as he brings you out onto the top, you can look off to the side and you can see the sun kissing the horizon. But the area itself is very, very wide. It is an open space, the sort of natural bowl in the top of the pyramid. You can see these ridges and walls of ice just kind of scattered around all over the place. And as expected, up ahead, floating in the middle, gently spinning, you see Shiva's crystal of light. You'll give me just a second here. We'll drop us in. There it is.
Is that the model from 14 they used
Yes.
for Fender?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Bucky Ices from Guide Man. I am literate.
Fenrir then turns to look at the rest of you, and his eyes linger on Alistair. You already carry one of the crystals. Step forward.
And he does.
All right. You step forward, and Fenrir starts leading you up to the base of the crystal, and it is very large. It's possibly even larger than the one that Tama guarded back in the mountains. And as you approach, you can feel your mind and your thoughts gradually being soothed as you draw closer until you're right at the base. And a second passes before it emits a gentle, boom, little high-pitched note and a gentle pulse of light. Before, in its surface, you see this shimmering shape starting to step forward. You see a tall, slender, and very graceful female humanoid figure. You can see this long, very wild, billowing hair swirling around behind her, tied into a ponytail that does very little to keep it neat. And this flowing, kind of revealing, but at the same time, modest and mature dress swirling around her figure as she approaches. On one side of her hips, you can see this, what looks like a fan, but with icicle blades coming out the tip situated, while on the other you see what looks like a short trident, sort of fitted in. There's another shimmer in the crystal, and her visage becomes more clear. You see the dress is blue, the hair is this icy pale blue, skin is white as snow, and eyes silver. As she steps forward and looms over you. A gentle smile on her face, and gentleness in her eyes. I know the drawing is kind of shitty.
I'm surprised you didn't just use.
I mean, to be honest, it's better than what I could. I can't do humanoids. I need more practice.
Stick figure.
Yep, pretty much.
I mean, I've been using my own designs for the summons this whole time, but anyways.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
Shiva now stands before you.
Which Alistair's a bit lost for words, but he quickly composes himself. Right.
It is good to finally meet you.
It's good to meet you too. I never expected in my life I would get such an honor.
You are the first in centuries to receive it.
Hmm.
She holds out a hand as if to shake.
I doubt I need an introduction, but I shall give one anyway. I am Shiva, the goddess of ice, and the watcher of the world's frozen north.
And I am Elisire, paladin of the group and hoping to help anyone in need.
Handshake, and her skin is icy cold to the touch, but even in spite of that, it's oddly comforting. Paradoxically.
Hmm.
I've been watching you from afar. Ever since you acquired my first crystal, I have watched and listened. I am very impressed by what I have seen.
Thanks, I'm glad to please you. I do tend to try my best.
I've seen you take blows meant for your friends time and time again, throwing yourself into the heart of danger for the ones you care about. And in spite of how much trauma you have weathered, here you still stand, tall as ever and wearing that smile.
Yep. It's kind of a thing I've been doing ever since an unfortunate moment with my master. One I tend never to see again, and do the best I can to get back up every blow I take.
And that resilience, that stalwartness in the face of all adversity is why you are the perfect choice to carry my crystals.
I will be honored to do so.
The winds are relentless. Yet still the icebergs and the frozen norths stand ever strong.
And she reaches her hand out behind her, and the crystal shimmers with light and begins to shrink down in scale. Until it fits neatly into the palm of her hand. And then she holds it out towards you.
Thank you. I assure you that me and my friends will do everything to save this world and all those who live in it.
You have my gratitude. I had hoped the day would never come that we would have to call upon mortals for such a task, but you are not bound in the same ways as we. The hearts of mortal men and women shine with brightest light and deepest darkness both. You can stand where we could not. And so when you and your friends find yourselves in those dark places, where the shadows would encroach and consume, I'm depending on you to keep them on their feet.
I shall do so. Or even die trying.
Let us hope it does not come to that.
Indeed.
She then takes a step back, sort of standing in the middle of this sort of pit, miniature crater sort of thing where the crystal had been floating at the center of.
Go on then. Time will not wait for us, and neither will Diabolos.
Yep.
Then she closes her eyes. There's this rush of wind. You briefly have to cover your eyes, and when you pull your eyes away, she is gone. Fenrir nods down at you. She spoke very favorably of you.
Which I will aim not to disappoint.
You had best not. In the meantime, I shall continue to guard this isle. Shiva has entrusted her crystal to you, but her true self shall remain here for the time being. We will maintain our vigil until we are needed. You are bound for the Hellfire Pit next, are you not?
Indeed. And there's still work to be done.
That there is. He nods back towards the others. Go on back. You still have work to do, and so do I. And she's not wrong. Diablos will not wait for our pleasantries.
Indeed. Thanks for everything.
If we are right, then it will be we who should be thanking you when all is said and done. Then he sort of hunches a little bit, lets out this low growl, throws his head back, and this long, powerful howl emits from him that echoes over the entire glacier. There's this brief pulse of pale yellow light, and when it fades, so too has he seemingly just disappeared.
Oh.
Well then. One more crystal to mark off. Two
more to go.
You're getting a bit flushed, Alistair. You're not getting a new crush, are you?
No. Not at all. But anyway, we have still got work that must be done, and we'll be reunited with Rocket, hopefully shortly.
It's the hope. Though it's going to be a long trip from here to the Hellfire.
Indeed. So let's proceed onward.
Do you talking to stop at Anima on the way? Give them the good news.
Indeed. I'm also be writing the book about this.
You know what occurs to me?
This is Mika talking.
If we win this, and we manage to stop Diabolos, we're probably going to be remembered as legends for the rest of history.
What was it? That term we penned for ourselves when Alistair first told us he was writing that chronicle?
Kyra just puts
Long
her hands
time.
behind her head with this sort of casual shoulder lean pose, like,
You know what? I think I can be down with that. I can think of worse ways to go than be remembered as part of this big, epic, world-saving story.
I think the phrase was Warriors of Light and Darkness.
Oh, that sounds so incredibly cheesy.
And yet it describes us perfectly as light and darkness both.
I mean, we're using light and darkness, but at the end of the day, it's the god of darkness we're trying to kill, so... I don't know, just warriors of light, maybe? Nah, who am I kidding? I don't have a crystal.
Hey,
I'm just a tag-along, really.
Becoming a legend.
You've helped just as much as any of us have.
Oh, yeah, but still. Let me put it to you this way. When all's said and done, who's gonna be remembered more? The people who can summon literal gods to blow shit up, or the person who stood on the sidelines with a whip saying, yeah, fuck 'em up?
I had hoped the entirety of the team would be remembered if someone could write the Chronicle accurately enough, and I trust our trusty proofreader will ensure he does.
I absolutely will.
She elbows Alistair in the ribs.
Don't go forgetting Kyra or anyone else. Give them their just dues.
Oh, don't you worry. I noted everyone. Even ones who are not with us. Which are many. I never expect to... Well, multiple things I never expect. Never thought to make this many friends, or even become a legend. Almost feels like this is a bit of a dream mixed with a nightmare. The evil we face.
Well, we gotta kill Diablos before that comes into effect, so... And like the big bad wolf said, he ain't gonna wait for us. So, should we get back to the little wing?
Big bad wolf.
The world's not going to wait on the count of us warriors of light, right?
Yeah, and besides, I need to also update this historic event, I guess. So let's head back.
Alright. And so, with that, you all make sure you have your things, and you start to pick your way south back through the temple, passing by all of the puzzles that were just skipped by Fenrir for you, for the sake of just getting you what you need and getting you going. You work your way through for a time. You pass by the murals and the little stories inscribed into the walls. You pass by the large chambers and the various puzzles, and before long you're stepping back out into the glacier proper. And at this point, it is straight on night. The sun set while you are inside, and it is dark out.
It's a good thing we parked close by.
Indeed. You spend a short time making your way back for the Little Wing, walking through the cold and the dark, and it is bitingly cold and freezing, but surprisingly, it doesn't seem to be bothering you as much as you would think. And it doesn't take you long to notice that the closer you stand to Alistair, the less the freezing weather seems to be bothering you. Not enough to mitigate any actual ice damage you might take if you were attacked by a blizzard spell, for example, but enough that the cold doesn't bother you as much anymore. And it is with that nice notion, as you're all climbing back aboard the Little Wing and getting ready to take off and make your way to the south, back to the continent, that everyone will gain 2 points of destiny for the acquisition of another crystal, and ascend to level 12.
Nice.
Yeah.
Level up time.
Yep.
I'm gonna quickly just drop my character sheet into the chat.
Yep. So no one go changing your sheets in roll 20 yet. I'll be taking screenshots of those later.
The only,
So
the only thing I changed is potions, and that was
yeah, like any
armor.
like any permanent stats or anything. Don't go fucking with those. So all right.
But the
so
armor was alright because
yeah,
we got our armor.
all right. Well, with that done,
Is that 2 points of destiny or 1?
2.
Or 3?
2.
Two.
It was 2. Everyone got 2 for that.
If it was Rocket, she'd probably get extra.
No, that would only be for enemies. That said, it's going to be interesting to figure out just how many Destiny Rocket is going to have when she jumps back in here. It's going to be interesting to just level her up in general.
Plenty, I imagine.
Damn! If only there was a way to share destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, you can when you're summoning things. That's how we have it set up. It's a big Destiny cost, but everyone can pitch in. But we can talk about that in a minute. So for the time being, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, so much for tuning in. I know this is kind of a short session, but like I said at the start, we're fucking tired. And I need to start doing planning for the Hellfire Pit. That's going to be an experience. So thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And as always, keep listening. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Bye, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode.